I'm Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Megan.
I'm Joy.
I'm Charlotte, and we're going to be demoing the Coupe.
So this is the Coupe R2 3-quart. This is the motor base, and before you start, you want to gather all of your attachments and make sure they're clean and ready to use. And then unwind the cord to get the motor base ready, but keep it unplugged until you're ready to start. So next we'll talk about the bowl attachment. For the assembly, you will want to make sure the motor base is facing towards you, and then you'll grab the bowl and put it onto the motor base slightly to the left and turn it to the right to lock it in. Then you can grab the blade. You want to make sure not to touch the blade, just touch the top. You can put it onto the motor shaft and twist it to the right until it locks in. The bottom blade should be close to the bowl. At this point you can put in your food, and then once the food is in, you'll grab the lid. Make sure the tab part is facing towards you and slightly to the left of the handle, and you'll twist it to the right. You'll hear it click when it is locked in. Lastly, you can plug in the Coupe, and now it's ready to operate. There are two functions. You can continuously blend or chop by pressing the green on button and then the off button, or you can pulse it by pressing this black button. The Coupe is used for grinding, kneading, pureeing, blending, and emulsifying, and it's commonly used in the healthcare industry for modified texture foods. And a few tips: you'll want to make sure not to overfill the bowl and leave a gap between the food and the top of the bowl so it can properly circulate. You also will want to make sure not to stick any non-food items in through the top of the bowl while it's moving. If you want to scrape down the sides, you'll first want to turn off the Coupe, unplug it, and then take off the lid, and then you can scrape down the sides. Coupe is also good for making emulsions. Like while it's running, you can pour the liquid in through the top and it will better emulsify things. And then once you have achieved the right consistency in your product or your food, you can turn it off, unplug it, twist the lid to the left, and you'll want to make sure to first take out the blade and then twist the bowl to the left, and then you can take out the food.
Okay, so I will be demoing the vegetable preparation method next. Make sure the machine is unplugged, and then we're going to grab our continuous feed attachment and place it on top of the motor base. So we're going to place it slightly to the right, making sure the holes line up with the things on the side, and then twist it to the left so that it locks in place. And you're going to want to make sure that the exit chute is facing the back of the Coupe and that you have your bowl or whatever else you want the vegetables to feed into underneath the exit chute. So next we're going to place our discharge plate on top of the motor shaft, and you're going to want to make sure that this little flat part lines up with the flat part on the motor shaft. And once you place it in, it should just fall into place. And then next, you're going to take your cutting plates, holding them by the top to avoid the blades. And there are many different types of cutting plates, but here we only have two. We have the slicer cutting plate and the grater cutting plate. But today we're going to be using the slicer. So once again, you're going to want to line up the flat part on the cutting plate with the flat part on the discharge plate. That should also just fall into place. And next, we're going to take the continuous feed lead, place it on top of the continuous feed attachment, bending it towards the right and then twisting it to the left to lock into. And then next, you're going to take out these pushers, which is what they're called, so you can feed whatever food you're wanting to put in into either the large feed opening or the cylindrical feed opening. Today we're going to be demoing a carrot, which is a hard veggie, and you want those to be fed through the cylindrical feed opening. So to operate the RoboCoupe, we're going to first plug it in, and then we are going to feed the carrot into the cylindrical feed opening, turn it on, and place the pusher over the cylindrical feed opening to push the food down, and then we're going to go ahead and turn it off. And as you can see, we have some lovely sliced carrots. And then to disassemble, we're going to first unplug the machine, like so, and then we're going to remove the continuous feed lead. There we go. Whoops. Yeah, there's going to be some food debris on that as well, so just make sure you're aware of that when you're disassembling. Take off the cutting piece, take off the discharge, and then you're going to remove the continuous feed attachment by twisting and then removing. You're good. And that is all for the disassembly.
Before you're going to clean all these items, you first should check that the motor base is unplugged. Next, you will wipe down the motor base with a soapy, wet sponge. Then, you will wipe off the soap with a wet paper towel or any sort of towel. This base doesn't have to be sanitized because it is not a food contact surface. So next, to wash all the attachments and blades, first you're going to want to wipe down the debris before putting it, either washing it in a 3-compartment sink or the dishwasher. The plastics and rubbers on these equipments will be run down and have a shorter lifetime if washed in a dishwasher, so it might be best to wash and sanitize in a 3-compartment sink.